Okay, hello. Happy Wednesday morning, lunchtime, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. Okay, so thank you for joining once again. I say this every single time, but we will wait a little bit for people to show up. It usually takes people a little while. If you are remotely concerned about how orange I am looking, just to let you know that there's something about the quality of the light that comes into this room at some point during the day, and it makes me look really orange. So I don't know why that is. It looks crazy. Hey, Paulina, how are you? How are you getting on with your preparation? Looks like it's just you and me at the moment, Paulina, which is worrying. Oh, we've got a few more people who've arrived now. Jolly good. Right, sorry, I was just distracted. I got a notification from my daughter's school. They do this now. You get I don't know about whether any of you have children, but there's this app and they send you all sorts of crazy messages as if I needed any more push notifications to come through on my phone. But that's how they communicate with you now, push notifications. So I was slightly distracted by that. And what's more is the little icon for their push notification is exactly the same icon as the push notification I get for buy me a coffee. So the push notification pops up. I get all excited that there's been some activity on my buy me a coffee page, only to discover it's just a message from my daughter's school. So that's rather deflating. Okay, so why don't we, let's just say hello to people, find out where people are from, and I'll give you a little bit of news that I got recently from an Amazon recruiter, a few Amazon recruiters that I've been talking to recently. I'll give you a bit of an update on that, and then we'll kick off. So let's see who is here today. We have Paulina. It's your big day tomorrow. Oh, Paulina, I hope you've done everything you need to do now, and it's just a case of refreshing and practicing. That will be important at this stage. Marius. Hello, Marius. Where are you joining us from, Marius? It's a Latin name. I did classics at university, and there were many, many famous Mariuses in classical Rome. So where are you from? We have Lockwood, 1976. So Lockwood was 1976, the year you were born. If so, you are the same age as me, more or less. Cool, exciting. Oh, now I've given away loads of information about my birth date. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Oh, well. All right, so we've got Michael, hello, from, right, I'm going to try and pronounce this properly. So this is Saskatchewan. Have I got that right, Michael? Saskatchewan in Canada. Welcome. You are definitely my first person ever from Saskatchewan. It's quite hard to get your mouth around. Okay, who else do we have? We have Seo's back. Hey, Seo, good to have you back. I hope you found the review of your job description helpful and hope it's guided you nicely on your preparation since then. Oh, second phone screen with Amazon tomorrow. Oh, it's a tech one for Lockwood 1976. Right, fingers crossed for you. And Nita Patel from London. Local, very nice. Oh, you're from Romania, Marius. Interesting. Bucharest, very good. Okay, we have Esau from Barcelona. Hola, ¿qué tal? And Manan, oh, that would have banged. Sorry, everybody. We've got Manan from India. Welcome, Manan. Yes, I remembered, Seo, you were from Dublin. Sláinte. My husband's a Dub. I worked for Aircom in Dublin for many years. Koustav's back. Hey, Koustav, how are you doing? We've got Shawin, another Londoner. Maybe it's because I'm a Londoner that I love London town. Anyway, moving on. And your loop date's been confirmed, Seo. That is awesome. That's awesome. So hopefully that gives you enough time to get yourself prepared and ask me any questions you need to know and get any answers that you need. All right, so why don't we just get going and we will see how we get on. So I am Gigi. I am the Amazon interview whiz, and I worked at Amazon for many years. I interviewed, and most specifically, I was a bar raiser. I've hired hundreds of Amazonians. I, as a bar raiser, unlike every other population of interviewer at Amazon, had the opportunity to bar raise and interview across many different job families, many different countries, tech and non-tech. If you are a recruiter or if you are a normal interviewer at Amazon, chances are you will only interview within your own skill set area. And the joy of being a bar raiser is you get to go out there and pretty much cover everything, which means you get a level of insight that pretty much no other type of interviewer in Amazon gets. Since leaving Amazon, I set up my own Amazon interview kind of suite. It's definitely not an empire. I still lack kind of words to describe what it actually is, where I have a mission to make Amazon interview expertise accessible to everybody. I could definitely tell when people got interview coaching ahead of their interviews with me. I got curious. I looked into it and discovered interview preparation coaching is actually really, really expensive, like $250 if you're thinking about dollars currency anyway. So I've created a way for you to get access to that at pretty much a fraction of the cost. I have this YouTube channel with 2.5 hours of very specific content on it. I do these free Ask Me Anything Q&A sessions. And then I have my Interview Wiz Academy, which basically teaches you everything that you need to know to prepare for your Amazon interview digitally. So it's a fraction of the cost. Okay, so the way this is going to work today, I think most of you have been here before, so I will run over this quickly. Please ask your questions in the comments box. I am not able to answer specific questions that are of a technical nature or specific to a technical role. There are about 300 different job families in Amazon. No one person can know everything about all of them. I know pretty much everything that there is about leadership principles, the process, the way things work, why things are the way they are, but I can't know everything technically about every single role. So if you've asked me a technical question and I don't respond, that'll be why, not because I'm purposely ignoring you. I will try to pick questions that are useful for everybody. I think I'll be fine about picking those questions now that we shall have plenty of time. Please hang on till the end. I will offer you an incredible freebie. Seriously, it's an incredible freebie that every single one of you will get use from, I promise. And that's about it. So why don't we start with questions? I think this is going to run for about half an hour now. But we'll see how we get on and how many questions there are. So fire away with starting to answer your questions. I did say that I wanted to just give you an update on some info that I've had from recruiters, having spoken to a few of them now after the summer. Sounds like interviewing is really hotting up inside Amazon. I think as per normal, things go quiet around kind of this July, August, September. Usually August is a real dip period in almost any business, at least on this side of the planet. Now the summer is over, the pipelines are really, really hotting up. So there's lots of jobs. There's been loads of announcements about lots of new jobs, which is super exciting. But with loads of new jobs come loads of new applicants. So pipelines are absolutely hotting up at the moment. So if you haven't applied yet, get your application in. If you are in train, do your homework. Work hard, prep hard, because the competition, it's always stiff, but the competition at the moment, so I'm told, is incredibly stiff. So do your prep, use the resources available to you. All right, so that was my information to share with you. So why don't we just get going? Oh, okay. Well, let's start with a good bit of news. Koustav, you got an offer letter today for a workforce analyst. So you're an existing Amazonian. So you've moved from an L3 to an L4 in just a year. Now, Koustav, that is really good. In general, for you guys, folks, to know, the kind of the Amazon baseline for promo is usually about 2 years. And this is quite useful for candidates to know as well. Generally, the principle is that it takes about 2 years for someone to master a role. So the baseline is about 2 years. To get promoted earlier than that, you have to be super impressive. Usually the process for promotion is your manager has to write an entire document about why it is you deserve to be promoted and how it is that you are currently performing at the level 1 up from yourself, because that's how promotions work in Amazon. You have to be performing at that level already. Then someone writes a document to explain to somebody else why it is you're performing at that level, and then they may or may not agree on a promotion. It's a bit different to many other organizations. I know in the UK, my old company, a spot had to be available for a more senior role, and you effectively got moved into that spot. It doesn't work like that. At Amazon, you literally get promoted kind of in your spot. So to be able to do it in 1 year, Koustav, is incredible. Congratulations. Well done. Okay, it's always nice to start with a nice bit of news. So, Marius, let me see what we've got here. Okay. So you've got your loop interview next week. One of the interviewers you met during the first loop, if he asks you the same question, should you use the same answer? They should not ask you the same question. The person that already interviewed you should definitely not ask you the same question. And anybody else that, you can see my face has gone less orange now. The sun's gone down and now I look less orange. Anybody else that interviews you subsequently should also not ask you the same question. Now, the way that they facilitate themselves so that they don't ask you the same question is anybody subsequently should be reading the notes from your prior interviews. The reason why no one should be asking you exactly the same question is it would make total sense that you would provide exactly the same answer. And if you provide exactly the same answer to exactly the same question, then no one's gathering any new data. And there is no point in gathering exactly the same set of data twice. So you should expect not to get the same question twice, Marius. If you do get the same question, this is my tip. Say to the interviewer, just to let you know, X and X person already actually asked me that exact question. Would you like me to still answer it and give you the answer that I gave them? Now, chances are, if they're smart in any way, they'll say, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. No, I will ask you a different question, because there's no point in gathering the same data twice. They might say, yes, I still want you to answer the same question, but please don't give me the same example. That puts you in a bit of a spot, and therefore I would suggest the majority of Amazon interviewers wouldn't take that path. If they say to you, yes, I would like you to answer the same question, just answer the same question. There's not a lot you can do about it at that stage. Now, that is sloppy interviewing. Your interviewer should say, no, I will give you a different question. They've got like between 9 and 15 different questions per leadership principle in the Amazon interview question bank. So it's not like they're short of options. So they should be able to ask you a different question. I hope that helps, Marius. We've got Samesh who's joined us. Hello, Samesh. How are you doing? Let me just have a look. Right, I'm going to see if I can find something else. Quickly on this one then, Lockwood, 1976, best year ever. Yeah. You wrote roles in the last email and you applied for one role. Are you being considered for more than one, or level different after the loop? So don't know, couldn't tell you. It could simply be a typo on the recruiter's side. Check with your recruiter. No one's going to be considering you for different levels. You're going to be interviewed at a particular level because they believe that you are appropriate for that level. It is possible that there are multiple roles that they have identified that might match to your profile, but it could just be a simple slip of the finger on the keyboard. So just check with your recruiter. Drax, will the video stay later on YouTube? In theory, yes. It depends how good your questions are. So I don't often delete them. I did delete the one that was from Monday, if anyone was looking for that, because quite frankly, I wasn't very impressed either with myself or the questions. So that one went. But in general, yes, they will be available later on YouTube. Okay. Oh, over the hill. Over the hill, MTB. Oh, thank you so much for coming and joining and telling me this. This is really important to me. Okay. So you haven't commented before. Thank you for such helpful videos. You watched my videos whilst preparing and you ended up with a job offer. So over the hill, I'm going to start with congratulations. I always have to do that. It's such an amazing achievement. As I said, Amazon has always been probably the most difficult organization to get into corporate wise on the planet. At the moment, there are so many jobs, but there are so many applicants as well. So landing yourself a role in Amazon at the moment is really impressive. So I am over the moon for Over the Hill, and I am very grateful that you decided to come today and share that with me. That has really lifted my spirits today. So thank you very much. Oh, I'm getting a bit teary now. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Right, I'm just reading, so apologies. I'm going to go quiet for a little sec. Okay. Okay, so Shawin, I'm going to read this for you all just very quickly in case anyone is listening to it instead of looking at it. So Shawin, you had your first loop yesterday. You've got some more tomorrow. During the interview, you were asked a follow-up question about sales figures, know your data, that you didn't have an answer to, know your data, but you've since found the information. Okay, let's move on. Next part. Is it okay to mention the answer in my future interviews? Worth mentioning that I didn't have the answer in my first interview, but taken trouble to find out. So contextually, it won't make a lot of sense if you just randomly share that information with anybody on your interview panel. What I suggest you do is send the information to your recruiter and ask your recruiter to pass that information on to the individual who you spoke to yesterday to give them that data. How much of a difference it's going to make at the end of the day to the outcome? Probably not an enormous amount, but you've gone to the trouble of getting the data, which is good. That's kind of positive ownership and diving deep and sharing that information. It just shows good commitment to the process and that you're serious about this. So you've got it anyway. Just ping it onto the recruiter and ask them to ping it onto the interviewer that you spoke to yesterday. I hope that helps. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question, Marius, because it has some broader application. So you're from CM background, okay, and you say that you don't have straight innovations. Could you use organizational level process improvement as innovation for an L6 role? So careful, people, how you interpret innovation. Now, the risk is, and I think you've fallen into this trap, Marius, that you're thinking about innovation as kind of technology and how you create some kind of new thing for the end customer. Go back to a dictionary. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this live. Look, I actually have a real dictionary here. And I've had this. Oh, do you know, that's funny. I was about to say I've had this dictionary since my GCSEs, and weirdly, just as I opened it on the page that said GCSE. So that's a weird thing. Okay, so I'm going to read to you the definition of innovation in this dictionary, because this is what they mean when they say innovation. So something newly introduced, such as a new method or device, or the act of innovating. So to innovate is to introduce new ideas or methods. So what you've just described to me there, Marius, is a new method that is a process improvement. That's what they mean by innovation, something that is new and different. Doesn't have to be technology, doesn't have to be a product, doesn't have to be a system. It's the broadest interpretation possible of something new, something that is innovative. So I hope that helps. The short of the answer for you, Marius, is yes, that's absolutely fine as an example. But Marius, what I will say is have some numbers. So to Sherwin's challenge a few minutes ago, really important, if you're talking about a new process improvement, then Make sure you go in with data to show what the actual improvement was. So obviously your innovation, but the result of your innovation. How did you move, if it's a process improvement, the efficiency, the output, the error rate, whatever the process is, make sure that you actually have that data point, Marius. Okay, I hope that helped. Okay, next one then. Yeah, okay. Definitely answer this one for you, Samesh. Is a referral better than a normal application? What's the difference? Does a referral give you better chance of an interview call? Great. Thank you for breaking that down into 3 parts. That makes it nice and easy to answer. So is a referral better than a normal application? Yes. What are the differences? A normal application is you submitting your resume through the jobs portal and it landing on the desk of someone that has never heard of you before. A referral is somebody that you know inside Amazon taking your resume from you, them uploading it into the system, and essentially making your application on your behalf. That then follows to your next point, which is, does a referral give you better chances of an interview call? No, it doesn't give you any better chance of an interview call, but it definitely gives you a better chance of your resume making it to the hiring manager. Because if you're submitting it through the normal jobs portal, the recruiter will be the first person to see your resume. And they may well decide that your resume doesn't fit the brief that they have from the hiring manager, and there it will stop. Whereas if an internal person is your referral and uploads your British we say CV, on your behalf, that then gets flagged as a referral and automatically goes to the hiring manager, bypassing the recruiter. At that point, the hiring manager has an obligation to review your resume. They must review it. But at that point, their obligation ceases. If your resume doesn't meet their requirements and what they're looking for, they are as free to reject your resume as they would have been if your resume had made it through from the recruiter's side of things. That is the difference. So yes, it does obviously improve your odds if there's someone inside Amazon who will basically advocate on your behalf. There are 2 different types of referrals, right? There's the first where you find a random Amazonian who you've never met before in your life, convince them to take your resume and put you into the system. Now, some Amazonians will do that either out of the goodness of their own heart or because they're after the financial gain, because you do get a bonus if a person that you've referred into the organization gets hired. There are some, I would consider them to be unscrupulous people who play the numbers. They put a whole bunch of referrals in on the hope that 1 or 2 of them will actually land themselves role, and then they get a very nice cash payout. The other type of referral is someone who actually knows you and can vouch for you. If you have one of those, if your resume isn't quite what the hiring manager is looking for, the person who really knows you can send a message to the hiring manager and say, I am referring this person. I personally know them. I personally vouch for them. I can see there's a slight difference between their resume and what they're looking for, but this is why I feel that regardless of what exactly it says in their resume, that they are a good person to consider for interviewing. Now, as a hiring manager, I am much more interested in that second type of referral because I know someone knows that person and is vouching for them. I am extremely uninterested as a hiring manager on the first type, where someone has just chucked a resume in and can't give me any context about how they know that person and why they are asking me to invest my time in reviewing that resume. That's my view as a hiring manager. So Samesh, yes, there was quite material advantage in the second type of referral to get you to an interview, because the hiring manager is going to take that a lot more seriously. There is some advantage in the first type of referral because at least it gets you past the recruiter, but it probably does nothing for your credibility with the hiring manager. Okay, I hope that helped. So moving on then, we have, let me just hide that. Okay. So networking code else, welcome back. I definitely recognize your name, so welcome back. Right, how do interviewers grade you? Now I'm sure I have a video about this very specifically on YouTube. I've got about 52 odd videos, so sometimes I forget which ones I have. So I'm just going to quickly check my YouTube, but I believe I have a video on my YouTube channel which talks about how your interview is assessed. Okay, so maybe it's there. So please, networking coding else, go check out my YouTube channel and see if you can find that. But in short, let me explain it to you. So the technical grading will differ materially depending on what type of technical role you're in. So I can't talk about that because there'd be so many different ways of doing it. I can talk about the behavioral principles. So no one talks about soft skills. There's no concept of soft skills in Amazon. There are your technical skills that are required, and then there are how you are calibrated against the leadership principles. So the leadership principles, clearly you've all seen the definition of the leadership principles. There are also very, very specific calibrations, what good looks like for each leadership principle and what not good looks like for each leadership principle. And these are all housed in central documentation that every single Amazonian gets when they do their Making Great Hiring Decisions training, and then they are accessible throughout their career as Amazon. So every single leadership principle has a calibration guide, what looks good, what doesn't look good. Then what happens is you have your interview and your interviewer writes down all of your answers. And then based on your answers, they review this calibration guide and they look for what you say, the behaviors that you articulate in your answer, and the calibration guide. Based on that, they will make a judgment call on how they feel you calibrate against the leadership principle that they are interviewing for. It's a 5-point scale. It goes from concern, some concern, mixed, some strength, strength. And they do that for their own interviews. And then ultimately, when you get your interview process gets to the debrief stage, which is run by a bar raiser, someone like me, they will work through all of that feedback from all of those different interviewers, ask different people's opinion. If someone has done a calibration on Dive Deep because they own Dive Deep, the bar raiser will ask for information from all of the other interviewers and ask them if they have any corroborating data or any counter data. And between all of them, they will come to a final calibration on that 5-point scale of where they feel you land in terms of raising the bar at the level that you are operating, that you are interviewing for, and against this calibration guide. That's how it works. Now, the best way to really understand what is expected of you is to really, really understand those leadership principles. Break down those leadership principles. All leadership principles have multiple facets to them. Customer obsession, which if you hang around until the end, I will give you my free masterclass on customer obsession, has 4 different facets in it. If you can really understand those facets, then that will really, really help you understand the types of behaviors and what they're looking for in terms of the particular examples that you give for your interview. My masterclass, my customer obsession masterclass, will actually help you understand exactly what they're looking for in your answer. That's part of the structure of my Amazon interview masterclasses. I'll tell you the different facets of the leadership principles. I will tell you what they're looking for in your answers, and I will also be showing you a mock interview. And I have one of those for every single leadership principle. So if you want to understand better network coding else, what they're looking for and how they will be measuring you, then my leadership principle masterclasses will be incredibly helpful. Just get the free one and then see how you feel. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Okay, what other questions do we have? Okay. Yes, so Prakash, I can answer this for you. So you were interviewed for an L6 manager role, but after the loop, you were recommended for an IC. What does it mean? The recruiter said they will help you finding a suitable IC position. So somebody has decided in the course of your debrief, Prakash, that they don't feel that you are the right person to manage the team. So it could be they don't feel you're the right person to be a manager in Amazon, or it could be that perhaps you're not the right person to manage that particular team. But they think you are bar raising as far as an L6 is concerned, and that's why they're looking for an IC position for you. So, I mean, it's great that it looks like they've considered you to be bar raising at an L6 level. To be a manager in Amazon, you usually have to be managing a minimum of 6 people. 6 people. And that's quite a large management responsibility. So I don't know, Prakash, I don't know your background. I don't know if you've been a manager before, but in many organizations, to be a manager, you end up maybe managing 2 people, 3 people, whereas in Amazon, it's a minimum of 6. So it's quite a big leap for people who may have not been a manager before, or perhaps they've been a manager of a small team. And to be a manager in Amazon, they would have to materially step up the number of people that they manage. So it is good news because they like you and they like you at L6, but they just don't think you are the manager that they're looking for. So good luck. I hope they find that other L6 position for you. Sorry, I went quiet because I was just reading the next one. Okay. Oh, there's a few questions in this. So how long can it take before you start answering a question? I don't understand that question, Sherwin. So you might need to follow up with me a bit down the page to explain to me what you mean by that. Is it fine to have a list with your Rolodex of answers in front of you? Rolodex. I know what a Rolodex is. I don't know how many people these days even use the concept of Rolodex. I talk about a mental Rolodex. So is it okay to have a list with your answers in front of you? So I am an advocate for using notes. I do have a video about using notes on my YouTube channel. I don't believe that an interview is a memory test. It's about understanding your behaviors in the past and your examples from the past. They're not testing your memory. So I do say to my candidates that I think it's okay to take in some bullet point notes. And when I say bullet point notes, I mean literally just having a bit of paper about this size with a few bullet points on it to keep you on track for each of the individual answers that you have pre-prepared. I say a piece of paper that size and only use bullet points because if you do any more than that, or if you put anything on a screen in front of you, what definitely happens, and I've experienced this many times with candidates, is they just start to scroll and read and read and read, and you can see their eyes going left to right and left to right, or worse, and this has definitely happened to me before, they literally start reading a script. I've had candidates lift up pieces of paper and start reading them, and I've had to say, put down the piece of paper, this needs to be a dialogue. And by the way, those candidates did not get hired. So notes, I say, are okay. Have them only in bullet points. I would also say, do say to your interviewer that you're bringing notes. So just say something like, hope it's okay. I just want to let you know I do have a few bullet points just noted down here to help keep me on track. I won't read off them, but just bear in mind that I might occasionally glance down. They should, in the main, say, yes, that's fine. I have only had one candidate ever come back to me and say that their interviewers asked them to turn over their notes. I did probe to ask whether that candidate was actually reading them like a script. They told me they weren't, but Who knows? So in the entire history of my kind of Amazon interview Amazon interview coaching, I've only ever had one person come and tell me that they were told to put down their notes. So that is my advice. Is there a maximum time to limit your answers to? Right, now that is a can of worms. I will give you my opinion on this. 1 to 2 minutes is not enough to provide the level of detail that you need to provide to demonstrate the behaviors that they are looking for the leadership principles. You must answer your questions in detail. I don't believe anyone can provide that detail in 1 to 2 minutes. Now, the level of detail that you need to give is relative to your seniority and the complexity of your answer. So the more senior you are, clearly the more complex your answers need to be in order to demonstrate the scope and complexity that you need to demonstrate to match the level of the role that you're applying for. So the more senior you get, the longer your answers are probably going to be. The more junior you are, your examples aren't going to be that complex, and therefore you don't need as long as someone who's more senior. So you are going to have to make a judgment call about how long your example needs to be. I would say somewhere between, and I'm afraid this is a very broad one, somewhere between 3 to 9 or 10 minutes. If you're at 9 or 10 minutes, I'm talking about someone who's probably an L7, an L8, and they're really talking about a complex example. If you're an L5, 3 to 5 minutes is probably about enough. Generally speaking, your interviewer is going to be looking to get a minimum of 2 questions asked of you. 3 is the ideal. The more junior you are, the more questions you get through, kind of ties up with my point about the complexity. But what you need to make sure is that when you are crafting your answer, as long as the information in there is either contextual information, so the interviewer actually understands what you're talking about, and behavioral information, that's the right content. Anything that isn't contextual or behavioral, you should literally get rid of. So write down your answer, edit down to everything that's contextual and behavioral, and then have a check at how long it is that it's taking you. Bear in mind, you're going to get follow-up questions as well. Broadly speaking, 15 minutes is about what you'll find it takes for you to give your example and your interviewer to do a follow-up question at the longer end of things. So I'm afraid I can't say to you, I know other interview coaches do. I know they say your answer has to be between 1 and 2 minutes, or your answer has to be between 3 and 4 minutes. I don't do that because I don't believe it's true. I've interviewed a lot. I've interviewed a lot for Amazon. You need to put in all of the information that the interviewer needs to know about your behaviors into your answer. Don't leave stuff out just because you're trying to hit a particular length of time. Because if it's important and relevant information that demonstrates the behaviors, if the interviewer does not ask you the right follow-up question, you have missed the chance forever, or at least until the next interview, the next time you apply for Amazon, to land that information. Keep an eye on your interviewer's body language. If they're looking restless, that's it. They're looking restless, or if they start saying things like, okay, well, tell me what happened next, or tell me what was the result. That gives you clues that you are probably taking too long. So plan for, depending on the complexity, somewhere between 3 and 9 minutes. Actively listen and take your cues from the interviewer. If you think something's important, leave it in. If it's not context or behavioral, take it out. I hope that helps. Okie dokie, let's move on then. Oh, Beauteous Every Day, you're back. Hey. Oh, it's lovely to see you. Okay. All right, Beauteous into Every Day. Fingers crossed. Yes, Lockwood's saying the career day is today. Yes, I think the US was today. I think Europe is maybe tomorrow, but they are super busy. These recruiters are back to back talking to people about their roles, about interviewing at Amazon, one-to-ones. They're amazing opportunities. So if you aren't signed up to the Careers Day, it may be too late now, but keep an eye on whether you can get onto a Careers Day if you're in Europe, because they are amazing opportunities to talk one-to-one with recruiters. And bless them, they are absolutely back-to-back all day. Okay. Right. Paulina, I'm afraid I can't sit here and give you an earns trust example and key points to consider because it would take me quite some time. But if you're particularly interested in earn trust, Paulina, my leadership principle masterclass for earn trust is only $15. So if you're particularly interested in that one, it's $15. It will take you through the key facets of earn trust. I think there are 2, maybe 3 in earn trust. It will tell you exactly what the interviewer is looking for, and it will do a mock interview so you can see a question asked about earn trust and how I, because I'm mock interview myself, answer that and land the question in interview. So that is, I think they're about 25 minutes long, each of my masterclasses for each leadership principle. So that will give you everything that you need to know. It's just $15. I will put the link up at the end where you can go and get it along with the customer obsession masterclass. You can have them both. Okay. What else do we have? Right. Ooh, sorry, I've lost control of it. It just jumped. Okay, Prakash B. Right. You're asking me if you're meeting, right. So this goes back to Prakash's situation where they're recommending him for an IC. Will you have to do the whole loop again, or will it just be the hiring manager round? It's going to depend, Prakash, where the IC role is. If the IC role is in the team that you applied for and interviewed for the management role, it may well be that you don't have to do a full loop and maybe you just meet the hiring manager for a bit of a rubber stamp, particularly if the hiring manager's manager was in the loop that you just went through. If it's an entirely different team in an entirely different part of the business, chances are you may actually have to go through another set of interviews, but it's unlikely to be the whole thing. It might well be something that's called a mini loop, where you only meet a couple of people and it's at a loop rather than doing multiple rounds. Okay, good luck. Hey, Anita, can you apply for roles both in the UK and other locations if you're UK based? So in theory, yes. Brexit makes things a whole lot harder if you're applying for European roles, because we don't have the ability now to, I'll say sadly, because I was a Remainer, got to be honest with you. We don't now have the ability to work cross borders, carte blanche. So you can, but I'm not entirely clear exactly now what the policy is on Brexit. So you should probably check with a UK recruiter if you've applied in the UK. Internationally, visas and all of those things will still apply. I know the US teams are not recruiting anybody that requires a visa at the moment because of the COVID situation. I obviously can't speak to all of the other countries in the world where Amazon exists and what specifically they're doing at the moment. So you can apply, of course, but the different teams have now got different situations as regards visas and permits for working. Okay. Right. Sorry, I'm just looking for other questions now. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Ezra. Hey, Ezra. Welcome. I love the name Ezra. That's a cool name. So, brand specialists, they are such fun. I just love interviewing brand specialists. I used to do that quite a lot because, as you say, they are recent grads and they're such great people. I've always enjoyed my brand specialist interviews. Anyway, I digress. So what I recommend for your online assessment is for you to go to my YouTube channel, where I have a very, very specific video on the online assessment, and go there and use that. One of my Academy members used the video and made it quite comfortably through that assessment. So please go check that out. And I think that will help you materially, Ezra. Good luck. Brand specialist roles are so cool. They give you such a great inroad to the organization. So I have my fingers very tightly crossed for you. Oh, exciting, Ezra. Right. What else do we have here then? Just do a bit of a time check as well. Okay, 15 minutes. Laura, okay. Okay, so I'm going to break this into two parts, Laura. So you had your final interview last week. It's been 5 days. You haven't heard back yet. Okay, so as I said, it's the career day today in the US, and the Europe one is coming up. So I know the recruiters are just crazy, crazy busy. As I said, the pipelines are absolutely jam-packed. So it may well be, Laura, your recruiter is just very busy. Don't worry too much. So you've only hit the 5 days. Give it another couple of days and then give them a little prompt. So that's that piece. Your recruiter ignored your emails regarding salary. Right. So I can't speak to that specifically, but I'm going to step back and talk more generically about salary. I'm sorry, Laura, this is going to be rubbing salt into the wound for you. So I feel a little bit bad about this, but let's try and give everyone else the benefit of your painful experience. I strongly recommend every single one of you has the conversation. It sounds like Laura was trying, has the conversation up front about salary expectations, not necessarily your expectations, but what the actual range of the salary is. I would even go so far. This is me personally. It depends how bold you are. I've just been around a long time and I don't take no nonsense. I would be even saying to my recruiter that I will not progress with the interview process until we have had a conversation about the salary range. Now, the reason I say this is from bitter experience with people that have come to me, not my academy candidates, by the way, friends, the family. They made it all the way through the process, all the way through loop, all to the end, only to discover that Amazon couldn't meet their salary requirements. It was a waste of time for everybody. So do your homework up front. Use those websites, levels.fyi, and it's salary.com. Look in your local location. Look at the job title that you're applying for and find the range that those websites show. Have a view of what your bottom line is. What will you not accept and not go under? Have a view of what your goal is. And then in the earliest possible occasion, talk to your recruiter about what is the salary range for this role. You don't have to explain to them exactly what you're looking for. And if they counter with, well, what are you looking for? You could say, I've done my homework, and this is the range that this website and this website seems to suggest is appropriate in my particular location. And therefore, that is my expectation of the range that Amazon will be offering. Tell me now if the range that Amazon could offer varies materially from what I've just said. And that's the way you can go into it. So, Laura, I'm sorry, I can't help you in terms of kind of the salary conversation. You've had your final interview now, but before you go into any conversation, please, fingers crossed, you get an offer. Before you go into that conversation with the recruiter, please do what I just suggested for you to do. Go find those websites. Okay. And give it another day or two before you start prodding your recruiter for the outcome. Fingers crossed for you. Good luck. Okay. Oh, Samesh, right. Here we go. This is always a good one, or not a good one. Right. I think I had a very interesting exchange about this on LinkedIn with one of my academy members mentioned something. So we had a conversation with it over LinkedIn. So does Amazon give genuine feedback if you get rejected? No, it doesn't. So I definitely have a video on my YouTube channel that talks very specifically about this. I don't think I go into the detail about why they don't give feedback, but I do go into great detail about how you can create your own feedback, so that when you don't get feedback from Amazon, you're in a position to get some kind of learning from the experience. So Samesh, please go and have a look at that video because you're not going to get feedback. I will very briefly explain why you won't get feedback. First reason being, and this is a little bit of mythology inside the organization, but I very much believe that it's true. First philosophy is they used to do it, but a couple of candidates got a little bit litigious because they didn't like what they heard. So after that, Amazon decided, whether it was 1, 2 cases or multiple, I don't know, but somebody decided that they would no longer be giving feedback because of the risk of legal implications. That's one. The second reason that I kind of get, how many people are going to try and bring court cases? I don't know, but I get that. The second one I actually believe very, very strongly in, and there are lots of people that don't. So, we could have this conversation on LinkedIn if you'd like. But the second one is the fact that as an interviewer, and this counts for any organization, as an interviewer, you have to feel completely confident that what you say is you can say openly and honestly, and that there is no risk of any blowback to you. So I want to be able to be totally honest about how I felt about a candidate. If I felt that there was a risk that my recruiter might repeat my words to a candidate, and contextually, they'll probably be able to work out who on the loop said those words. If they don't like it, I'm here. I'm on my YouTube channel. I'm on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. I'm not, by the way, but this is a hypothetical situation. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're all so accessible these days. And it's a very real risk that disgruntled candidates will then follow up on these social media platforms and, try and whatever it is, what I'm saying. And, how many people are going to do it? Not the majority. The majority of people are good, honest people. They'll take the feedback as it's meant to help them grow and develop, and they'll get on with their lives. But there will be a small number of people who don't behave well. And it's that small number of people that you have to manage for, because the impact of that small number of people can be very material. So that is why I believe quite strongly that although it sucks for a candidate not to get any feedback, Amazon's first responsibility has to be to the safety and welfare of their employees. Its second priority also has to be its shareholders, if you buy into the whole litigation thing. But check out the video, Samesh, and it will help you find a way to gather some feedback for yourself, even though you're not going to get it from the interviewer. Okay, so let's move on, see what else we can find. Oh, it jumped again. Okay, Beautis every day. Right. So character limit. Should you consider someone not coming back to you as a silent rejection? Yeah. Now, I hate that this happens. And on the other side, you have no idea that it happens. But now on this side of the wall, I'm starting to discover how many times candidates just don't hear back. So I say to my candidates, you should assume it's a rejection until you hear that it's not. And I know that's a hard kind of mental framework to get yourself into, but I think that's the best approach. So until you've heard that you are in, you're not in. And if you haven't heard from your recruiter in weeks after your interview, chances are it's a no. And disappointingly, they have not been able to find the time, the space, the whatever to come back to you. It doesn't happen hugely, but I know it does happen. On the flip side, I have had a candidate who had complete silence for 2 months and then heard back that they were making them an offer, which I thought was slightly bonkers. I've never heard of that one before, but hey, it ain't over until it's over, I suppose. All right, Beauteous every day. I so love that name. So creative. Okay. Mudassad Trainer. Hello. How are you doing? It's good to see you. Am I doing awesome? I don't know. I'm doing okay. All right. What else do we have? Okay. Right. I am going to answer this question, Stefano. So, hello, Stefano. Welcome. Lovely to have you here. So, how many candidates are invited to Loop for the same role? So once again, I'm going to tell you, I have a video about this on my YouTube channel, and it says, I think it's called something along the lines of what you need to know about the competition. Oh yeah, here you go. You need to know this about your competition for your Amazon interview. That's what it's called. The way the Amazon interview works is it is like a conveyor belt. So most other organizations, they open applications for a role, they have a closing date, all the resumes come in, no one looks at them, closing date happens, someone reviews all the resumes, they reject the ones they don't want, they take the ones that they do want. They invite all of those people to a first round. They interview all of those people at first round, then they compare them to each other. They discard the ones they don't want, they move everyone else to the second round, and so on until by a process of elimination, they get their final candidate. Amazon doesn't work like that. What Amazon does is have a constant conveyor belt of people coming in. It runs what's called a first past the post process. So it is the first person on that conveyor belt to prove to everybody that they are raising the bar. So a resume comes in, it goes to the recruiter passes it to the hiring manager. The next day, another resume comes in, the recruiter sees it and passes it to the hiring manager. On the first day, when the hiring manager received the first resume, they'll look at it and decide whether they want to reject it or move that person onto the first round. When that person's on the first round, the person whose resume came in the day after that person's may be being reviewed by the hiring manager. So it's just this constant conveyor belt of people going through, and people will get rejected as they go along the conveyor belt until a point where somebody makes it all the way to the end of the conveyor belt and they are considered raising the bar. So it is possible, in theory, for someone to, or for a job to only ever, in theory, have one applicant. It's never ever happened as far as I know, but in theory, it's possible for a job to get filled having had only one applicant. It's also possible for a job to get filled having had 500 applicants, and it took them 500 people to get through in order to be able to find the one that raises the bar. So it just doesn't work the way it works in other organizations. Check out the video. I pretty much say what I say now, but maybe I take a bit more time to do it. Okay. What else do we have? Hey, Stefano. So your last interview was scheduled for October the 1st, okay, and we're at the 15th now. Yeah, we're the 15th now. A coach told you it's not enough time to prepare for it. Do you think it'd be wise to postpone it? Stefano, it depends on you and how practiced and skilled you are at interviewing and how much you already know about the Amazon leadership principles. I've had people join my academy who had their interview in a week from when they joined my academy and they ended up getting hired. I've had people join my academy and it's been months until their interviews, and they've got hired as well, by the way. So I don't think anyone, unless they know you, Stefano, unless you've had a good conversation with this person and they've maybe done a mock interview with you and they've explored with you how much you understand the leadership principles and how experienced you are at interviewing, I don't think they can judge whether it's not enough time for you to prepare. If you've gone through that process with a coach, they've done the mock, they've spent time understanding you and what you're capable of and what you know, and they give you that advice, then I would suggest listening to that advice. But without that context, I can't really answer the question. But there are plenty of people who only have a week to prepare who manage to make it through. I had another candidate arrive at the academy who literally had 3 days to prepare. His name was Chris, and he was just unbelievable. Now, he did like literally pull all-nighters, but he managed to get his role as well. So it's not what, there is no fixed time. It's about you, where you are at the moment, and then what makes sense for you. So please spend time with your coach exploring that before you come to any conclusion. Okay, moving on. Yeah, Laura. Yeah, it is. It is very normal to have multiple people scheduling your interviews. The actual this is a semantic that probably doesn't matter too much, but there are recruiters and there are recruitment coordinators. The recruiters are the people who are set the targets for hiring. Their job is to fill roles. There are recruitment coordinators. Their job is a logistics one, to get people in the right place at the right time. So because it's a logistics role, it quite often happens that you have multiple RCs, recruitment coordinators, working on your particular rec at any point in time. Okay, so Laura, the person you want to find out the contact details of is the recruiter. not the recruitment coordinator. So try and find out who your recruiter is, because they are the person who's effectively going to get rewarded if you land the job. Okay. Let's see what else I can do. Sayo, hello. So I read that and I'm trying to think of a useful way to answer this. So in my experience as a bar raiser, what are the most impressive things about candidates that are frequently looked out for? So there isn't a most impressive thing, Sayo. It really is all about, are you raising the bar against the leadership principles? Now, obviously, there are certain things in Amazon that really matter, regardless of what role you're looking for. So if you are not strong on dive deep, chances are you're not going to be an awesome Amazonian. Doesn't have to be your greatest strength ever, but as a bar raiser, I'd want to see something in the strengths or some strengths on Earn Trust for any candidate that I would agree to hire. Customer obsession is another one that I would feel that way about as well. Deliver results is another one that I would feel that way about as well. You know, those three are baselines. You've got to see strengths to hire a candidate at any level. In terms of other things that, you know, you're looking for, you're looking for people who have really understood the leadership principles and who have identified the right stories, identified the behaviors, or at least have tried to understand the behaviors that the interviewer is looking for, and have specific examples with data against those leadership principles. Because what you're looking for is different in every role, because every role has different key leadership principles that matter. I've got to be honest with you and say there are no 1, 2, 3, 4 particular things that you're looking for as a bar raiser, other than what I just said in terms of those basic leadership principles. Someone can be an introvert, someone can be an extrovert. Really, you're looking for consistent, high performance against the key leadership principles for the role. That's it, really. I'm sorry, that's not particularly insightful, but at the same time, there's no magic formula. And therefore, I'd be lying to you if I tried to make them up. And please don't believe that from anyone else who says there's a magic formula for impressing your bar raiser. There isn't. Okay. What else do we have? Sorry, just conscious of time. Oh, yes, LR. Don't apply for the role. Don't apply for it. Give your resume to your friend. Once you apply directly for the role, you're not going to be a referral. So give your resume to your friend, and then the resume will make its way through to the hiring manager. Okay. Samesh, that's so funny. Do you get Amazon Prime free with work with Amazon? No, you don't. Amazon has a leadership principle called frugality, and that would be completely counter to frugality, given that there are like 1.3 million Amazon employees around the world. Can you imagine how much Jeff would lose? Oh, it's not Jeff anymore, it's Andy. How much Andy would lose if he gave everyone free Prime? No, you don't. Oh, Koustav has already said it. Okay. Right, so we are at time now. So I'll just do this quickly for Antonio. So do I offer one-to-ones myself? I don't offer one-to-one interview preparation myself, but I do have a partner who I work with and who I think is great and refer people to. So Antonio, if you're interested in talking to my partner, please contact me on LinkedIn. Gigi the Amazon Interview Whiz, and I will give you the links to get a hold of him. All right, so we are now at time. So as I said that I would, I'm going to share with you an amazing freebie. So here we have the Amazon Interview Whiz Academy.com. If you go there, you can get my Customer Obsession Masterclass completely free. I give it to you free because obviously I want you to look at my content and love my content and buy more. But equally, if I was going to give something away, which I was, Customer obsession is the one to give away, because every single one of you, if you make it through to the final stages of the interview process, at some point along the way, someone's going to ask you about customer obsession. I could bet my children's lives on that. So that's why I give that one away. So go check it out. It will tell you the 4 facets of customer obsession. It will tell you exactly what the interviewer is looking for from your answers. And it will show you a mock interview where you can see exactly how to land and manage the response in your example using the STAR format, etc., etc. So please go grab that. I promise I will not chase you up with follow-up marketing. I know that's usually the reason why people give away freebies, so they can get your email address and do follow-up marketing. I don't do that. So feel free to go grab it. I won't be chasing you down. Okay, so we are at time now. So thank you very much for joining today. I will be leaving this one up because I think there were some good questions here. So this one is definitely staying on YouTube for that person who wanted to know whether it would be around later. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you to those people who showed up and shared that they had landed their roles. It matters a lot to me to hear those types of stories. I work very hard to give you this resource. It takes me like a good 6 hours to do one video for YouTube. By the time I've recorded it, done all of the editing, done the captions, it's hard work. There's lots of effort that goes into it. So to know that it helps and people are landing roles, which many people do, thankfully, is really special. So thank you for taking the time to join, for those of you that did. For the rest of you, if you have interviews coming up this week, I wish you the very, very best of luck. I will be back again on Monday. I'm always on YouTube. If you have a question, pop it into the comments in YouTube and I'll very likely answer it. I'm also obviously on LinkedIn. So take care, everybody. Thank you for joining. Good luck. Bye-bye.